Hello and welcome to this look at Middle Earth, the Tales of Middle Earth. Because I noticed that the stories here are very important, and who to signify the importance of story more than Tom Bombadil himself. This card has been made to show that they are important, the sagas. It says if you control 4 more lore counters, which are the counters that go on your sagas, Tom Bombadil has hexproof and indestructible, signaling that when enough stories have progressed, Tom Bombadil becomes a god, which is often what indestructible means in magic for the gods. Then it says, so he can't be touched, basically. Whenever the final chapter of a saga you control resolves, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a new saga. Meaning that whenever one ends, Tom Bombadil will make sure that Middle Earth has a new story that will be told. Which is also very interesting if you are hoping on new movies. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom, so you play it immediately. That's what it says. And one small disclaimer, because I will have to do some singing today. Almost all of the stories that Tom Bombadil and the friends tell and the sagas are about songs, and it feels like that is his power. But also note in the art here that it seems like he is making the plants of his little forests and plains more alive. Oh yeah, one more interesting thing is the fact that he has 5 colors. He is someone that exclusively lives on plains and sometimes a little bit in the forests. So why is the Celestia? Well, that is because, of course, the sagas are all 5 colors. But also he is a god, and he is a very neutral character who doesn't really choose a side per se. He just wants, it seems like he wants the stories to be there, no matter what they mean. He is a storyteller, a bard. So here we go, I guess. So his first, of course, is his own song. A long time ago, when the third book was released, I mean, this was a very important point in the story for many people. Tom Bombadil wasn't in the movies, but in the books, the hobbits that go on their journey, they are caught by a tree, and when all seems lost, they hear in the distance, "Hey doll, merry doll, ring a dong dillo, ring a dong, hop along, follow the willow, dum bum jolly dum dum bombadillo." And then I told you this disclaimer already. Then when he approached, they heard further, "Hey, come, merry doll, my darling. Light goes the weather wind and the feathered starling," showing us how he is about bringing life. Down along on their hills, shining in the sunlight, waiting on the doorstep for the gold starlight. There my pretty lady is, river woman's daughter. Remember that, by the way. Slender as the willow wand, clearer than the water. And they changed her a bit, she isn't slender anymore. Maybe a willow wand is thick. Old Tom Bombadil, water lilies bringing, so bringing life, comes hopping home again, can you hear him singing? Hey, come, merry doll, dairy doll and Mario. Goldberry, Goldberry, merry yellow berry, oh. I think that's his loving name for... Poor old willow man, you tuck your roots away. Tom's in a hurry now, evening will follow day. Tom's going home again, water lilies bringing. Hey, come, dairy doll, can you hear me singing? Almost as if he wants everyone to hear that he is coming home and not necessarily coming for the hobbit. but he did note that the willow man should tuck his roots away. Hop along, my little friends, up the withy window. Tom's going on ahead, candles for the kindle. Down west sings the sun, soon you will be groping. When the night shadows fall, then the door will open. Out of the window panes, light will twinkle yellow. Fear, fear no alder black, heed no hoary willow. Also interesting because they have been told about the willow that is so dangerous. Fear neither root nor bough, Tom goes on before you. Hey now, merry doll, will be waiting for you. And this is also interesting because before the hobbits have been a little bit too catchy in their songs towards the willows, but they leave Tom alone, of course. Hey come, dairy doll, hop along my hearties. Hobbits, ponies all, we are fond of parties. Now let the fun begin, let us sing together. And then I think he sings for a long time. Now let the song begin, let us sing together. Sun, stars, moon and mist, rain and cloudy weather. Light on the budding leaf, dew on the feather. Wind on the open hill, bells on the heather. Reeds by the shady pool, lilies on the water. Old Tom Bombadil and the river daughter. And the river daughter, this slender woman, is Goldberry. And interestingly, in the sets, they have given her the ability to work with sagas as well. So she says move a counter of each kind on Goldberry River Daughter from another target permanent you control onto Goldberry, so can be the saga counters as well. And then later you can move one or more counters from Goldberry onto another target permanent you control if you do draw a card. Sort of showing that she doesn't want the sagas to move along, she lets them stay longer. And it says here, I think that's in the song too, fear nothing for... No, it's not in the song maybe. For tonight you are under the roof of Tom Bombadil. And that is what what she says to Frodo to get him to fall asleep. Sort of a spell, that's what that is. So maybe in that way, she already prolonged the story to have a different ending, it seems. But it goes on even further. It's a long song. Old Tom Bombadil is a merry fellow. Bright blue his jacket is, and its boots are yellow. We saw that in the art. I had an errand there, gathering water lilies, green leaves and lilies white to please my pretty lady. The last ere the years end, to keep them from the winter, to flower by her pretty feet till the snows are melted. Each year at summer's end I go to find them for her, in the white pool deep and clear, far down the withy window. There they open first in spring, and there they linger latest. By that pool long ago I found the river daughter. Not sure if they're all meant to rhyme. Fair young Goldberry sitting in the rushes. Sweet was her singing then, and her heart was beating. Doesn't seem special, that last part. And that proved well for you, for now I shall no longer go down deep again along the forest water. Not while the year is old, nor shall I be passing Old Man Willow's house this side of springtime. Not till the merry spring, when the river daughter dances down the withy path to bathe in the water. No to bathing. Oh Tom Bombadil, Tom Bombadillo, by water, wood and hill, by the reed and willow, by fire, sun and moon, hearken now and hear us. Come, Tom Bombadil, for our need is near us. Old Tom Bombadil is a merry fellow. Bright blue his jacket is, and his boots are yellow. None has ever caught him yet, for Tom he is the master. His songs are stronger songs, and his feet are faster. Oh, he doesn't have haste. He does have stronger songs. Later, he uses it even to banish a wight, which is a very powerful creature. He sings, "Get out, you old wight, vanish in the sunlight. Shrivel like the cold mist, like the winds go wailing." I'm not sure if this is the same rhythm, to be honest. Out in the barren lands, far beyond the mountains. Come never here again, leave your barrow empty. Lost and forgotten be, darker than the darkness, where gates stand forever shut till the world is mended. Wake now, and then he wakes the hobbits up, who were taken by them. Wake now, my merry lads, wake and hear me calling. Warm now be heart and limb, the cold stone is fallen. Dark door is standing wide, dead hand is broken. Night and under night is flown, and the gate is open. So he closed the gates for the wights to go behind those gates. Then he let the hobbits out. Hey now, come hoy now, whither do you wander? I think this is against the ponies that escaped after they were first really attacked by the Nazgul. Up, down, near or far, here, there or yonder. Sharp ears, wise nose, swish, tail and bumpkin. White socks, my little lad, and old fatty lumpkin. Tom's country ends here, he will not pass the borders. Tom has his house to mind, and Goldberry is waiting. I think the last part isn't really part of the song. But okay, there are more stories and songs. And one of them is the bath song, which the hobbits sing multiple times. And they do so to refresh. Basically, the mechanics here say draw 2 cards, then discard 1. Sort of letting go of what happened before, but getting your mind free for what's to come. And then shuffle any number of cards from your graveyard into your library, sort of refreshing again and adding 2 blue mana. But there's another song. And Bilbo has taught this song to Frodo. And the song seems to have magical properties, is what he tells him. So maybe again it has healing powers. Though I'm not sure. It just says it has magical properties. And it does seem like an adventure. Always begins after it. So they say, sing hey for the bath at close of day that washes the weary mud away. A lunacy that will not sing. Oh, water hot is a noble thing. Oh, sweet is the sound of falling rain, and the brook that leaps from the hill to plain. But better than rain or rippling streams is water hot that smokes and steams. Oh, water cold we may pour at need down a thirsty throat and be glad indeed. But better is beer if we drink that we lack, and water hot poured down the back. Oh, water is fair that leaps on high in a fountain white beneath the sky. But never did fountain sound so sweet as splashing hot water with my feet. It's just about bathing, to be honest. But maybe bathing is magical. No song this time. We have the Scroll of Isildur. And this one, it is a story that has been written, but this is not really a story. It's more about the scroll itself. And one thing that it remains. So Isildur is the eldest son to the first High Elven King of the Realms in exile. Isildur eventually defeated Sauron in his alliance with the elves and the Entwives at least. Um, and he then writes a scroll where he tells how he got the ring from Sauron, and this part is the most important here. He refused Elrond, who was alive then, and Círdan's, he's still alive, I guess, advised to destroy the ring, which might be the tapping here that you see with the tapping two creatures. He disregarded their advice, and then the gaining control of the artifact is, of course, the ring. And it is also the fact maybe that Sauron was defeated, but that's nothing to do with two creatures. And in this scroll, he also wrote the inscription from the ring, which you can, I think, see here. That had appeared just after battle from the heat, I suppose. This scroll was what set Gandalf on the first check on Frodo, so before the adventure began. And this ring to see whether it was the One Ring. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe because a time of recovery came after the Lord was defeated, the evil. And here we see Isildur's faithful strike. Isildur cut the ring from Sauron's hand with the hilt shard of his father's sword, and Sauron himself was overthrown. And then we see, I think, Gandalf finding the scroll and the inscription and then learning about it. He says the scroll says, the great ring shall go now to be an heirloom of the North Kingdom, but records of it shall be left in Gondor, lest the time come when the memory of these great matters shall grow dim. And they did, as we see in this card. In the days, Elrond says, in the days of Isildur, the ruling ring passed out of all knowledge. I think he should remember. Okay, next, this one I wasn't sure about. It says Oath of the Grey Host, and I really couldn't find it, and I don't remember it either. There being an oath written somewhere. We have Ghost Quarter, though, which is about them maybe. It says light was grey, for the sun had not yet climbed over the black ridges of the haunted mountain before them. But I'm not sure, again. This one I am sure of. It says the Grey Host reinforcements. I hope they haven't forgotten how to fight, said Gimli. And I guess not. Flying Ward 3, by the way. That's interesting. When it ends the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard produce. Whoa. That's a strong card. That's protection too. And here we have the Soldier of the Grey Host. Where we see Melbeth saying, the dead awaken for the hours to come, for the oath breakers. Maybe the oath is how they were bound or something. Was that it? I can't remember so well. But okay. We have the Book of Mazarbul. So this is a book. Well, let's read first what we know of it, because they have read it in the movie. The first page says, we drove out the orcs from the great gate and guard room and took the first hall. We slew many in the bright sun in the dale. Floy was killed by an arrow, so every time someone dies, they write it down. He slew the great chieftain. We buried, and then ... Floy under the grass near Mirrormere. Again, we repaired. So a lot of this book was destroyed, so we can't read everything. We have taken the 21st Hall of North End to dwell in. There is good air, and then something can be easily watched. The shaft is clear. Balin has set up a seat in the chamber of Mazarbul. Gathered gold, wonderful lay, Durin's axe and silver helm. Balin has taken them for his own. Balin is now Lord of Moria, so he lost his mind eventually because of the gold. Today we found true silver, well-forged helm. I think they list everything that they found. Oin to seek for the upper armories of the Third Deep, so someone go westward to somewhere, to Holland Gate. Years since, Reddy's sorrow, yesterday being the 10th of November, Balin, Lord of Moria, fell in Dimril Dale. He went alone to look in Mirrormere. An orc shot him from behind a stone. We slew the orc, but many more came. Up from the east, up the Silverload. Dot dot dot. We rescued Balin's body. After a sharp battle, we have barred the gates, but doubt if something. Maybe we can hold them long. If there is a chance, no escape, it will be a horrible fate to suffer. But I shall hold. We cannot get out. We cannot get out. They have taken the bridge in Second Hall. Frere and Loni and Nali fell. They were brave there bravely while the rest retreated to the chamber of Mazarbul. We are still holding, but hope is faint. Oin's party went 5 days ago, but today only 4 returned. The pool was up to the wall at Westgate. The watcher in the water took Oin. We cannot get out. The end comes soon. We hear drums in the deep. They are coming. So we can see the fact that the orcs amassed against them. Then more orcs amassed against them, and then they gain power. So the book doesn't give dwarves power at all. It just gives the orcs power. And there we see someone, a goblin, that has been fighting them maybe. An orc shot Balin from behind the stone. Oh, it says something from the book. We slew the orc, but many more came. I'm not sure what the goblin did with it, though. Was he fighting the dwarves? We can't really see. Then we have something from The Hobbit itself. So it is Bilbo's book, actually, that he wrote about gaining the ring from Gollum is the most important part there again. He wrote it because he wanted to note his adventure with the 13 dwarfs. And he later would use the same book to add notes on elven culture, which is what's it called again? Legendarium? Something like that. The book used to display whatever happens to Middle Earth. It also has the events of the Ring War later, so that is a book you read when you read Lord of the Rings, and many other mythical stories from all over Middle Earth. So here we can see, of course, the invisibility, the searching for the mountain, which is a little bit of a weird order maybe. He didn't need to find his way out of the mountain, which is might be this. And then you create Smog out of nowhere, but I think that's just for the movie fans. And there he is. So he has he's a 6/6 with flying and haste. And when he dies, you create 14 treasure tokens. Why 14? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Might be something significant there. But at least he had a lot of treasure, of course. We saw that here too. At the low point here. So the next one is the long list of the Ents, which is a list of creature types, I guess, that they like. And here you can see it's like a wolf, a dwarf, an elf, a dog, which is more significant than you think. I think hobbits now, and like, I don't know, humans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And then note the creature type that hasn't been noted for a long list of Ents. If you do it this way, good. When you cast your next creature spell of that type this turn, that creature enters the battlefield with an extra counter on it. So it was at first a song by Treebeard, who we have another video on, to Merry and Pippin, and it goes like this. Learn now the lore of living creatures. I'll just do it again. So, first name the 4, the free people. It just feels like it goes. The free peoples. Eldest of all the elven children, dwarf the delver, dark are his houses, and the earth. I feel like it's more a list. And the earthborn, oldest mountains, man the mortal, master of horses. So yeah, the eldest, the elves, the dwarves, the delve, the ents. Are ents here? I don't think so. We see elephants. olifants. Um, and then Man the Mortal, the master of horses. Maybe horses are there too. Beaver the builder, Buck the leaper. Oh, there are more. Bear, bee hunter, boar the fighter. Hound is hungry, hare is fearful, eagle and airy, ox in pasture. Hardhorn crowned, hawk is swiftest, swan the widest, serpent coldest. And then Pippin suggested adding hobbits, which they did. Uh, Again, here, by the way, we have Treebeard and we have Pippin and Merry on their own cards, which we haven't gone over yet. They create food, and whenever you create food, you get a human soldier, or not. You get a 1/1 soldier at least. Maybe it will be a hobbit in the art. Would be cool. But you can see they are both mostly about food, which hobbits always have been. Yeah, so Pippin suggested. This song of herbs and stewed rabbit isn't really a song. I think it is more a chapter where Sam, Frodo, and Gollum went from the desolate Emin Muil to a greener land. They found food after a long time when Gollum caught it, but before Sam was done cooking, Faramir came to the two. So and Gollum was off hunting at the moment. After a bit, they heard fighting, and the two hobbits saw men fighting for the first time. So they have never seen people fight before, but they knew that men fought a lot. Uh, they didn't though. They were just about food and well having 8 or 7 meals a day. And what we see here in the art, by the way, is the spice that Gollum was supposed to go get, and then the red book, which is uh, well sort of the start of the story, I guess. It probably teaches them to be kind, not to fight, I feel like, and to make food. So here we see grow stronger from the food because it is important to be strong. Um, then draw a card and create more food. Uh, they learn maybe and create food. Maybe they use it as a recipe book or something. And then you create a halfling creature for each food you control. So halflings are the new hobbits, I think, here. And through eating together, you will grow stronger. Here we have, of course, the most famous thing because it has been told so often. Uh, First, we start with one rule ring to rule them all. The mechanics, first of all, are that the ring tempts you because it has been made. I think it sort of shows here that it has been made as well. And then each player mills cards equal to your ring bearer's power. And this is because when it was first made, people were enslaved by Sauron and the ring. Then you destroy all non-legendary creatures. Well, is it true really when it was first made? Not really, but when he first wore it, I guess. Um, each opponent loses 1 life for each creature card in the player's graveyard. So, a cycle of pain and hurt commands, basically. It says 3 rings for the elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, and 9 for the mortal men doomed to die. Why? Because Sauron could do with giving the elves 3 rings and still control them, and the dwarves were still very stubborn and might have needed some more, but still weren't strong enough to overthrow him with 7. And the mortal men were very easy to control, and eventually became the Nazgul. In the land of Mordor, where the shadows lie, 1 ring, what this says, to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, the other rings. So the first ring can find the other rings, is one of its powers. 1 ring to bring them all in the darkness, and in the darkness bind them. In the darkness bind them. We see here sort of maybe when it was made then, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Wait. 10, 18. Is that? I need to go back to my notes. 3 plus 7, 9. Huh? I see 18, right? Wait. 3, 7. Oh, here's one other. Why is there one? Why is there one more? This is the one ring, right? Then what is this? Is it more significant than the others? I have never read about that, but please enlighten me if you know. But you can see that he creates one wraith every time, which is a bit weird because he needs 9. And then for each opponent, gain control of up to one target creature that the player controls until end of turn. So yeah, you can use the rules to bind the other creatures. Then you have 6, which is still weird. Okay, but let's go on. The War of the Lost Alliance. So we have never seen this really, but we have seen the history. This War of the Lost Alliance, when the humans and elves came together to defeat Sauron for the first time. It was just before the Third Age. So, forged by Isildur, who had taken a sapling of the White Tree of Gondor after it had been felled. So, I mean, the alliance had been forged. And Gil-galad from the elves, with Elrond already as his herald. They defeated evil, and Isildur keeps the ring, hence the temptation here. I feel right? Yeah, here. So you search for a legendary creature, the 2 legendaries. Then you creature control gain double strike, which is the fighting, I guess, and then the ring tempts you, which it did for Isildur. This allowed Sauron to survive and return later. There we see. By the way, did I say accidentally that Isildur was an elf before? That's not true. We see the fall of Gil-galad, which says here, strike 2, not sure. Put 2 counters on target creature you control, maybe because he needed the strength. And then target creature you control gains when it dies, draw 2 cards, then it fights up to 1 target creature. While it is dying. But there is a song about this. And it says, Gil-galad was an elven king, of him the harpers sadly sing. The last whose realm was fair and free, it was, and then they split, between the mountains and the sea. His sword was long, his lance was keen, his shining helm afar was seen, so he was an example. The countless stars of heaven's field were mirrored in his silver shield. But long ago he rode away, and where he dwelt none can say, for into darkness fell his star, in Mordor, where the shadows are. Again, that Mordor, where the shadows are. We have another oath, another alliance, I guess, which is the oath that brought Gondor and Rohan together. Eorl spoke for Rohan. Hear now, all people who bow not to the shadow in the east. By the gift of the Lord of Moonberg, we will come to dwell in the land that he names Galanardon. And therefore I vow in my own name and on behalf of Eotheod of the north, that between us and the great people of the west there shall be friendship forever. Their enemies shall be ours, their need shall be our need, and whatsoever evil or threat or assault may come upon them, we will aid them to the utmost end of our strength. This vow shall descend to my heirs, which it did, all such as may come after me in our new land, and let them keep it in faith unbroken, lest the Father shall fall upon them, and they become accursed. And even in times of great hardship, the 2 kingdoms would come to aid each other. Even at the War of the Ring, now Aragorn and Eomer ascended their thrones again and closed the alliance. Talking about Eorl, 4th Eorlingas, is something from King Theoden when he says we should ride for Gondor. It says, a sword day, a red day, ere the sun rises. Ride now, ride to Gondor. And what it really said is, arise now, arise, riders of Theoden. Dire needs awake, dark it is eastward. Let horse be bridled, horn be sounded. Forth, Aerolingas. And that's where this comes from, I think. Here we see Theoden, king of Rohan, and his riders. So his flavor says, dark have been my dreams of late, but I feel new awakened. I only fear that already you have come too late, Gandalf. So Gandalf came to heal him, but Theoden still feels like he was too late. Not really sure if the writers really say anything. We have Eowyn, who was the actual one to slay evil. She says here, am I not of House Errol? I have waited on faltering feet long enough. And I guess she was magically bound to help. Good that she did. And I guess it is true that if she hadn't helped, everyone would have been cursed. She strengthens other creatures from her towers where she didn't really want to stay. And when another human has entered the battlefield, create 2 knights with trample and haste. And if you control 6 or more humans, draw a card. I'm not really sure if that has any significance here, except for the fact that she is a leader, I guess. Then we have Eomer, the new king of Rohan, who has 3 cards. She does too. Eowyn does too. But he has one at home. 5 mana 2/2 with double strike though. He enters with a +1 counter for each human you control. Really strong in human decks. When he enters the battlefield, target player becomes the monarch. Eomer deals damage equal to its power to any target. So also a kill spell, I guess. A damage spell at least. He also has the Marshal of Rohan and of the Ritter Mark. This one I feel most interesting. He just haste 5/4, and when he attacks, if you control a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, you create a soldier. Might be because strength is how he leads, and I feel like that is beautiful. And then this one is 4/4 haste. Whenever one or more attacking creature legendaries you control die, untap all creatures you control. And then there's another battle, but I feel like that's again just about fighting and stuff. Not really something interesting. I feel like in the flavors. We have another song. We're almost there. The Song of Arendelle. Well, that's so Arendelle was a sailor mariner that tarried, it says, in Avernian. He built a boat of timber felled in Nimberthil to journey in. Is this? No, this is not the song. What's this? I'm not sure what this is. Oh, wait, it is. It right? Yeah. Okay. Her sails he wove of silver fair, of silver were her lanterns made. Her prow was fashioned like a swan, and light upon her banners laid. In panoply of ancient kings, in chained rings he armored him. His shining shield was scored with runes to ward all wounds and harm from him. His bow was made of dragon horn, his arrows shorn of ebony. Of silver was his habergeon, his scabbard of chalcedony. His sword of steel was valiant, of adamant his helmet tall, an eagle plume upon his crest, upon his breast an emerald. Beneath the moon and under star, he wandered far from northern strands, bewildered on enchanted ways beyond the days of mortal lands. From gnashing of the narrow ice, where shadow lies on frozen hills, from nether heats and burning waste, he turned in haste and roving still. On starless waters far astray, at last he came to night of naught, and past and never sight he saw, of shining shore nor light he sought. The winds of wrath came driving him, and blindly in the foam he fled. From west to east and errandless, unheralded he homeward sped. So telling about his adventures, how he gained treasure, and the bird, which we'll get to. And then you put a flying counter on each creature you control without it. So the bird, the emerald, we see as well in the piece, now I notice, and an angel giving flight. There, flying, can I I cannot. I thought I had a picture. Uh, Darn. There, flying Elwing came to him, and flame was in the darkness lit, more bright than light of diamond, the fire upon her carcanet. By paths that seldom mortals go, his boat it bore with biting breath, as might of death across the grey and long forsaken seas distressed. From east to west he passed away. Through every night ba- he back was borne on black and roaring waves that ran over leagues unlit and foundered shores that drowned before the days began, until he heard on strands of pearl, where ends the world, the music's long, wherever foaming billows roll, the yellow gold and jewels wan. He saw the mountain silent rise where twilight lies upon the knees of Valinor and Eldamar, beheld afar beyond the seas. A wanderer escaped from night, to haven white he came at last, to elven home the green and fair, where keen the air were pale as glass. Yeah. Beneath the hill of Ilmarin, a glimmer in a valley sheer, the lamplit towers of Tyrion are mirrored on the shadow mere. He tarried there from errantry, and melodies they taught to him, and sages old him marvels told, and harps of gold they brought to him. Two times him, like, but okay. They clothed him then in elven white, and seven lights before him sent. Seven. No. As through the Syrian to hidden land forlorn he went. He came unto the timeless halls where shining fall the countless years, and endless reigns the elder king in Ilmarin on mountain sheer. And words unheard were spoken then of folk of men and elven kin, beyond the world where visions showed, forbid to those that dwell therein. A ship then new they built for him of mithril and of elven glass, with shining prow, no shaven oar, nor sail she bore on silver mast, which is impressive. The Silmaril as lantern light, and banner bright with living flame, to gleam thereon by Elbereth herself was set, who thither came. And wings immortal made for him, and laid on him undying doom, to sail the shoreless skies and come behind the sun and light of moon. From ever even's lofty halls, where softly silver fountains fall, his wings him bore a wandering light beyond the mighty mountain wall. From world's end there he turned away, and yearned again to find afar his home through shadows journeying, and burning as an island star. On high above the mists he came, a distant flame before the sun, a wonder ere the waking dawn, where grey the Norland waters run. And over Middle Earth he passed, and heard at last the weeping soar of women and of elven maids in elder days in years of yore. But on him mighty doom was laid, till moon should fade and orbit star, to pass and tarry nevermore on hither shores where mortals are, for ever still a herald on, an errant that should never rest, so not anymore errantless, to bear his shining lamp afar, the flame of fur of winterness. It's a good rhyme sometimes. And it does say in the flavor here two times. And then lastly, we have a weird tale, which I don't feel like fits in. Um, but it is the story of Tenuviel. And she was an elven princess and had a gnome suitor named Baron, who might also have been a human. In this place and age, the gnomes, at least, were told that the elves did weird and maybe evil things. But Baron immediately fell in love when he saw her dancing and singing. So he asked her father, the king, for her hand, and the king laughed and said that for such a small boon, Baron would have to gather a small prize. Baron would have to steal Malco's crown, who was at that point the enemy, or otherwise known as the Dark Lord of or the King of the World. Baron thought this was indeed a way too small price and became angry, so he immediately left. He was also immediately captured. The Dark Lord thought gnomes were meant to be his slaves, so he became angry as well. He was also angry because the gnome must have dealt with humans. Baron explained that he was not friends with humans at all, which is true, and that he just wanted to hunt um, for to hunt the world for the great enemy. Malco said, well, he felt cutely and was flattered, and set Baron to work, which he failed, and he was set to do sake work. He had to cook for a black cat that was actually an evil sprite with a purr that sounded like thunder. And now remember the dog from before in the list of ends, and the fact that cats weren't there. They are evil and dogs are good, according to the book. Tenuviel then ran to save Baron, escaping her father, the king, from a house she was locked up in. She met Baron's friend, Juan, the captain of the dogs, who was actually a dog. He was, of course, the main enemy of the Prince of Cats, who was an actual cat. And the dog Juan told Tenuviel to tell the cat, who was named Tevildo, that Juan was injured. And Tenuviel did, and Tevildo fell for it immediately, went for him. Tevildo was defeated and taught Juan the spell he used to keep the other cats under control. You will need magic to control cats. When Malco, who was of course very uwu, heard of this defeat, he banished all cats. Meanwhile, Baron and Tevildo formed a great relationship with all dogs, and that's how cats became evil and dogs became good boys. Tenuviel and Baron stole the crown from the Dark Lord and rushed away past a giant wolf, who would then terrorize the lands around the Elven kingdom. The two returned to the king, and the monarch begged Baron to stay with them because he saw that he loved his daughter now. But he also told of the wolf who was terrorizing his lands already, so the journey was long and stories travel lightly. The wolf was slain by a party that went with them, but the wolf also fell on Baron, and he was then mortally wounded. Baron was given the crown and returned and said, "This artifact is nothing. I want your daughter. She's mine." Then he died, and nothing could save him. So the princess went after him to the other world. One, the actual dog, wept for the two and refused a reward from the king, meaning his loyalty, I guess. And that was it for the sagas. There are a lot, and a lot to explore. A lot of points I might have missed as well. But look here, there are dogs. So if you like that, you should subscribe.